I remember my farms and house from Kibumba. I didn't have any food problems and my children were eating well. Everything was in the house. However, today we're simply living a life of cutting firewood. That's why we remember home so much.
My life at home was good. I had a place to sew, and I was teaching students how to sew. This is very different from the way I was at home.
Sina jinsi ya kubakia biasa vile jinsi nilikuwa kule kwetu.
In Chanzu, where I come from, if you farm crops and then sell them, you can earn money without encountering any problems.
Did you enjoy life in Chanzu?
Life was good there. It's just that war destroyed life.
Decades of clashes between armed groups, widespread violations of human rights, and devastating incidents of gender-based violence have displaced 6.1 million people within the Democratic Republic of Congo and are in need of urgent humanitarian aid. As a result, refugees, especially women, are increasingly vulnerable to exploitation and abuse and more frequently resort to harmful coping strategies to meet their basic needs. Hello and welcome to a special edition of Our Voices. I am Jeannie Niwa, and here with me are my co-hosts, Siminishi Ekoye and Oriane Tangishaka. On this week's episode, we will take a closer look from underground at the alarming situation of refugees through our VOA colleague, Omari Kaseko's documentary, The Silent War, who is joining us today to share his insight on the stories of human suffering and resilience in the Congo. So let's get started. Welcome.
Welcome, Omari.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
So as noted by Human Rights Watch, armed groups and often abusive security forces continue to carry out massacres, abduction, rape, and sexual violence, recruitment of children, and other attacks on civilians with near total impunity. Nearly 5.6 million people were displaced across the country as of July. Before we look at some of the impact, specifically alarming situation in the refugee camp in the DR Congo, let's hear what our colleague Omari has to say about his motivation in covering ongoing crisis. Omari, what was going through your mind before you go there?
A lot, to be honest. A lot. This is something that has been on my mind for a long, long time. We hear these stories from DRC all the time. You know, this has been ongoing for years. It's not something that started yesterday, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, almost 20 years. And that's why you see in DRC, you know, peacekeeping mission has been there for almost 20-something years because of this stuff that's going on. So I think when I got a chance to go there and see what's happening, I took that chance. You know, it was, you know, brilliant to me. And I mean, I wasn't disappointed going there, but seeing stuff that's going on there has been another experience. Yeah, an eye-opening, really.
Wow. And it's the truth exactly what you've been hearing, non-stop suffering.
Yes, but you hear from the far, so you really don't know how, you know, deep the situation is. When you get to the ground, then you start to realize that I don't know how this ended up to this situation, how, you know, Africa is just sitting there and looking at this situation. You know, yeah.
Well, now let's turn our attention to the Silent War film that captures the devastating impact of the war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and where thousands upon thousands of women find themselves in refugee camps for years with no signs of hope. VOA's Africa's division Omar Kaseko spoke to the displaced women and their ordeal. Let's take a look.
As of 2023, the Democratic Republic of Congo is home to an estimated population of approximately 6.9 million internally displaced people, according to the United Nations.
The Congolese government should explore every avenue to bring about an end to all these wars. We need help. The population is tired of ongoing wars. Look, children are dying on the roads due to long walks, while parents meet their demise while traveling. The government should take measures to end wars.
I was running from rebels and I heard a loud noise, as if something had broken. Then I realized my leg was injured and the veins were cut. I couldn't walk. I fell to the floor. When I looked at my leg, I saw that the skin in that area was completely damaged. I had to use my clothes to wrap around my leg. Some men noticed me and they decided not to leave me there. They carried me, took me to a hospital in Bamboo. Then the doctors transferred me to a hospital in Rushuru, where they collaborated with foreign doctors to provide assistance. They helped me with my leg by taking some skin from another part of my body and grafting it onto my leg.
When the war started, it was at 2 a.m. We began hearing the sounds of guns and bombs. Then we heard people starting to run. I was pregnant and had children, so I couldn't run at night. My husband said he had to run because rebels always look for men, so he ran away and left me with the children. The rebels came to my house. I had a small shop outside selling alcohol, so they destroyed my door and entered my house. They found me with my kids. They drank all the alcohol there and forced me to give them all the money I had. Then they started raping me. They warned me that if I screamed, they would kill me. While they were raping me, they destroyed my urinary system, and the baby died inside.
The situation is really concerning in North Kivu in general. A situation in which you have more than 1 million people that have been displaced over the last several months. And this is in a context where already the health system was suffering. Were a lack of nutritional, a lack of therapeutic to provide for children, a lack of resources in the health centers and in the hospitals, and now with all of the displaced people in the area, it's become much worse.
The majority of them have been in this condition for so long that they are very precarious. So most of them start in intensive care. And then as they get stronger and stronger, we move them through the stages of care. And then these are the children that are on their way to recovery. So from here, most of these children have already started to regain appetite, so they can feed themselves with our plumpy-nut. And they're already in much better condition than they arrived. And so once they're stable, then we send them back to the camps, but they will continue outpatient care.
My child was vomiting and had diarrhea, and his body was very hot. I went to the hospital and they gave me medicine, but it didn't work. So I went there again and they sent me here. Here they gave him medicine.
How is he doing now?
He's doing well.
What did the doctors say?
He is struggling because of lack of food.
They've been sick in the camps for who knows how long, and by the time they get here, they're right on the edge, and we try our best to intervene. We give them the best care we can, but sometimes it's just too late for them, and they're so weak that they can't come back. So even just in the week and a bit that we've been open, we've lost some cases.
Well, this is a lot to take in. We just looked at the living condition for the internally displaced in the DRC. We saw the inadequate food, shelter, and especially safety, and how congested and how poorly constructed the camps are. So, Omari, from your observation, what is it like specifically for women? How are they surviving in these conditions?
So it's day by day. They wake up in the morning. Some of them, they go to these bushes, get firewood, hoping that they can sell. Sometimes you don't sell. You are there waiting to see anyone who can come and help. The 26 million people I need in DRC. All these organizations and the humanitarian aid can only reach 10 million people. So more than half of those people are out of the basic needs. They live in, like you've seen those tents,
shacks,
very small tents, sometimes with 4 or 5 kids
and that's
inside.
When it rains, that must be
It's a big problem when it rains. They wake up in the morning not knowing what we're going to eat today, how is life going to be. They do anything that they can do. So you find cases sometimes of prostitutions because some of them, especially young women, have to go to town and do things that they're not supposed to do. But you are on the limit, you're on the edge.
Yes.
And you wake up in the morning and you have kids you have to feed. It's devastating.
I remember when you first got back and we had this exchange, and the first thing you told me is, Kinshasa need to do something. I'm guessing you was referring to the leaders. I'm also originally from DRC. I was there like a few weeks ago. And let me tell you something. They talk about the war. That's something, in the narrative, they can point out, the different countries that are accused of attacking. But when it comes to the situation of, the living condition, the camps, not really. That's not what you see on local media. Why was it important for you to spotlight this crisis?
To me, I was actually shocked because, and I've met people from Kinshasa, and they're okay, and everything is going well. The number one thing I think for me is food, actually. People have to eat. People have to wake up thinking that at least I can have something to eat. These people are saying, most of these women we're talking, they're saying, we're going to die of hunger here. That's what's going to happen because we have no food. And to me, that was something I felt like Kinshasa should do something about it. So you have a lot of humanitarian organizations in North Kivu, and they are doing amazing work fantastic work. The problem is they don't have funding to feed all these people. There's so many camps around there, so many displaced people, and they can't reach everyone. Yes, so they are all suffering and thinking that how can we be able to at least accommodate these people?
So
and they can't.
We will come back to then what should be done, and we'll have our take on that. But now it's time for a short break. When we return, we'll continue this special edition of Our Voices and hear more from VOA's The Silent War documentary about the devastating humanitarian crisis in the DRC. We ask you to share your thoughts on this topic on our social media platforms at VOA Africa. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And don't forget to use the hashtag VOA Our Voices. Stay with us and we'll be right back.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depends on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
You're with Our Voices. Welcome back. Today we're sharing with you a special documentary released by the Voice of America capturing the devastating impact of war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, entitled The Silent War. This highlights the horrendous situation of refugees in the camps caused by years of conflict in the eastern region of the DRC. Let's now turn our attention back to the film where we hear some of the solutions women propose to end the crisis.
All these people you see here were in their homes farming. They were used to eating vegetables, potatoes, and different foods. What we ask God to help us with is peace, so these people can go back to their homes. If they go back, they will be safe. But if they stay here, they face diseases. There is diarrhea, cholera, measles, fever, and coughing because they live in a congested area.
Suluba, watoto wadogo, homa kali, kikohozi. Kwa nini maisha wanayoyaishi ya msongamano?
According to the humanitarian response plan, 26 million people are in need in DRC in 2023. The humanitarian response plan is covering 10 million in 2023. 2022 it was 8.8. The crisis is worsening, so we need attention.
Kwa tafuta makuni, naona mtu anashimama yule yangu. Na mimi natumini kwa tafuta tu makuni.
While searching for firewood, I encountered someone standing before me. I continued to collect firewood, but he asked me where I came from. I said that I was just gathering firewood. He then said that unless I complied with his demands, he would kill my child. He proceeded to say that I have beautiful babies and that I can give him one. I asked him to empathize, but he remained resolute. A physical altercation ensued, during which his strength overpowered me. He did what he wanted until he was done. I cried for an extended period And then I couldn't collect firewood anymore and began the journey back to the camp.
I mean, it's what we saw when we first arrived in this area and we started responding to the urgent needs that we were seeing in the health centers, in the hospitals. We were told that cases of sexual violence had more than doubled, tripled, sometimes quadrupled in some of these centers. So that's hugely concerning. And that's, of course, in a context where maybe not all women are aware that services exist that can help them when it comes to sexual violence.
Upon my return, my husband asked about the firewood, but I said I couldn't continue collecting firewood due to excessive rainfall. I haven't spoken about what happened until now. Today, I share this painful experience with you to shed light on the adversities we endure in this challenging environment. How will we continue living like this?
So Omari, from what you sat down with them, from what you've seen, do they still have hope, these women?
Of course. I mean, it's the only thing. They have hope. I mean, they know if not them, then their kids will live, in a better conditions more than them. But it's difficult because, they've seen these things for a long, long time. Yeah. It's an ongoing thing. So they have hope, but, the problem is, where do you go from here? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, the conflicts that cause these displacements, there is no sight to the end of them, and there is even more conflict looming internally and even with neighboring countries. So, do you feel like this crisis in DRC is the most neglected crisis globally?
Definitely, definitely. Not only neglected, but you just wonder what is happening in Africa. Of course, there's so many issues going on in Sudan, other parts, of Africa. But in East Africa in general, and Congolese people especially, because this problem, no one is going to solve this. It has to be Congolese themselves. Mm. They have to be the one to solve this. And you wonder for how long this is going to keep on going without them taking serious look into these problems. I mean, millions and millions are being displaced, inside the country. Mm-hmm. I mean, what else can, we want to see to react?
And I remember, as a person who comes from the eastern region in Burundi, I remember as a young child seeing the same images of people carrying their baskets, running back and forth into different bushes and things like that. Correct. Hope. We talked about hope. When it comes to hope, when it's the only thing you have, you also talk about spirituality. Did you see anything in terms of churches, mosques within the camps that helps them to cope with the situations?
Yes, so there's few programs going on. There's churches, there's mosques. Of course, international organizations have programs, and also few people like these women activists who are going to these camps, and they are talking to women, trying to tell them how to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And you will see in a documentary an organization like Aid Profen with this young activist called Pasi Mubalama. She has been trying to help these women, but there's different organizations who are going there. Mm-hmm. Of course, people gather sometimes on Sunday and they pray, depending on your religion. Mm-hmm. So they do all these things, but it's a difficult condition when you are in, to think a lot more than just, I have to get food, I have to feed my kids, I have to. It's very difficult.
With the health situations.
Correct.
You talked about how women are also really still in very fragile medical conditions where, at times they're still bleeding from the rapes that they just endured a week before.
You have that in the camps. You have women who are suffering from different diseases. Mm. You have kids, malnutrition, diarrhea, cholera. You have a lot of things going on in these camps. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's difficult.
Very, very difficult. But thank you so much, Omari Kiseko, for sharing the Silent War film. For an extended version of this documentary, visit our website at voanews.com. Now let's shift to our Women to Watch report, where we share stories about women who are doing extraordinary things in their communities or nations. Meet Patsy Mbalama, the founder and executive director of Action and Development Initiative for the Protection of Women and Children, or AID-Profin, a non-profit organization that promotes women's rights in the eastern region of the DRC.
On air with me, Natasha Sekera-Viti, is Patsy Mbalama, a women's rights activist.
Na ni kwa hiyo tunaenda sana sana ndani ya kambi ili kusensibilize.
We go inside the camp so we can engage with the community in discussions about how to protect the rights of women and children.
Ama kukinga haki za wamama na watoto.
Wewe ndio football.
The current task we are undertaking is to encourage women who have been raped to come forward and speak out. Often they remain silent and refrain from sharing their experiences. Our aim is to inspire them to open up and demonstrate that by remaining silent, those who commit these acts against women evade justice. Speaking up allows for assistance to be provided, such as mental support and access to medication for protection against various diseases and unwanted pregnancies.
And that is our show for this week. We hope today's show shed light on this horrendous crisis affecting families in the eastern region of the Republic Democratic of Congo. Thanks to our colleague Omari Kaseko for this moving documentary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Be sure to watch our voices on our website, voaafrica.com, and our YouTube channel, where you can catch up on the latest episode and the world's top news stories. Now, on behalf of my co-host, editors, production team, and everyone here at The Voice of America, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.